Greetings BookTube, I'm Anders and this is my March wrap-up. In March I read 10 books, so let's get started. First I read The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. This is the second book in the Kingkiller Chronicle. Just like The Name of the Wind, it's very well written and I still like the narration very much. In the book, Quoth keeps telling the chronicler about his life, and this book is what he's telling on the second day. It's partially about his continued magic studies and partially about his travels around the world. I can't really tell you that much about it because it's the second book in a series, but I can tell you that there is this one character. It's not mentioned before this part and it's not mentioned again after. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. It's quite unsettling for me to read this. Anders is dead, Your Grace. And that's the only time that character is mentioned. Just like The Name of the Wind, I gave this one 5 stars. After that I read The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. This is a novella set in the same world as the Kingkiller Chronicle, and it follows the side character Auri during a 7-day period, and I believe it's set in the middle of The Wise Man's Fear. The narration is very different than in the other books, but I still like this one a lot. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read The Rainwild Chronicles by Robin Hobb. The Dragon Keeper, Dragon Haven, City of Dragons, and Blood of Dragons. And as you might understand from the titles of the books, there are dragons in it. This is the 4th series in the realm of the Elderlings world. It's the second series that's set in the Rainwilds area of that world. The first one being Liveship Traders. Some of the characters from the Liveship Traders trilogy are in this book, but mostly it's new characters. Just like in the Liveship Traders trilogy, you follow multiple perspectives. Some of the perspectives are humans and some are dragons. This series was originally written as a duology, but it was published as 4 books. And I have to say that the first book and the third book feel like they end in the middle of the story. So it would have been better to have 2 1,000-page books than to have 4 500-ish page books. As a whole, I give this series 3.5 stars. If you have seen my introduction video, you know that I don't like reading books in Swedish because the translations are usually not that good. And this series is a perfect example of that. It's the Westmark trilogy by Lloyd Alexander. It's Westmark, The Kestrel, and The Beggar Queen. It was really badly translated. It's marketed as a children's book here in Sweden. I don't know if the intention of Lloyd Alexander was that it was supposed to be a children's book. The translator used words and phrases that no kids have used probably ever, and no adults have used in the 40 or 50 years before these were translated. Especially in the first book, it really bothered me. In the second and third book, I tried to ignore it and just keep moving. But there was this one phrase, I had to look it up because I had no idea what it meant. It turns out the phrase has its origins in the 1500s. It hasn't been used since the 1800s. And we have another phrase that means exactly the same thing that's been in use since the 1600s, and people still use it today. Kind of felt like the translator was trying to show off his skills and knowledge in obscure phrases that nobody else knows. But that's not what this was supposed to be about. The series is set in a world that's similar to ours at about the time of the French Revolution, and it shares a lot of themes with the French Revolution. The princess has been dead for 6 years, and the king is slipping further and further into depression because of it. And the chief minister, Cabras, takes advantage of that and tries to manipulate his way into power and into inheriting the crown. A printer's apprentice called Theo tries to save his master's printing press when Cabras's men come to destroy it, and he almost kills one of the officers, so he has to escape. He gets some help from a traveling con artist, and the con artist's dwarf driver, and then all kinds of crazy things happens. If I ignore the bad translations, I think I would give it 4 stars, maybe a bit over that. So let's go with 4 stars. And finally I read A Mad Zombie Party by Gina Showalter. This is the 4th book in the White Rabbit Chronicles. I thought it was only a trilogy, and then a while ago I saw some booktuber talk about this book, so I just had to get it. The series is sort of a retelling of Alice in Wonderland with zombies, and the main character in the first 3 books was called Alice. She's still in this book, but you don't follow her perspective in it. Instead you follow the perspective of 2 of the other characters. The zombies in this series are not the normal flesh-eating, brain-craving monsters. Instead they live in the spirit realm and they feast on people's souls. The main characters is a group of zombie hunters, killers, and they can detach their souls from the bodies and attack the zombies in the spirit realm. I gave this book 4 stars.